All right guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're gonna be talking about buyer's remorse, right? We're not gonna talk about the car, we're gonna be talking about the carbon bucket seats. And I think a lot of you guys have been on the fence with the carbon bucket seats, or the ones that have owned it. You can relate to this, and also this information should give you a better understanding, right, as you go through the process of selecting your G8X platform. Because I think one of the most hardest questions when you have all those options is if you should select the carbon buckets. It is a costly item, so hopefully this video helps you guys out when selecting whether you go for the comfort seats or the carbon buckets. And here's a spoiler, I honestly think they're still one of the best things you could option, and hear me out. All right, so I chose to sit in the passenger seat because I do want to talk to you guys about what really drew me into opting for these carbon bucket seats. And I think a lot of you guys that have selected or are actually thinking about selecting the carbon bucket seats could relate to this. And that's actually the way it looks. When you look at this interior between the comfort seats, these just blow it out of the water, right? Between the look of it, I think with the Fiona red interior that goes with my Imola red paint job, I think it goes hand in hand. And not only that, these carbon bucket seats, they actually have a nice design to it. As you look in the middle, there's a nice black insert, and also there's, I guess you could say, the nut checker, right? That's right by your crotch area. And again, there's a function to these carbon bucket seats. Am I gonna track my car? I'm gonna be totally honest, I'm probably not. But the people that are actually looking to track their vehicle, this does have a lot of function to it besides looking so amazing. So I think that's the number one thing that draws people into selecting this option. Not only does it look amazing up front in the front passenger and also the driver, is actually the rear. The rear passengers get a really good look of it, and when we take you to the rear of it, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I know we mentioned one of the best things about the carbon bucket seats is the way it looks, and we talked about how it looks in the front here, but also look at the rear. When you get to put your eyes on the carbon bucket seats, you see the detail that BMW went into making these seats. Everything is nicely done. The carbon fiber weave on these carbon bucket seats is just as you would expect. It matches everything that you opt for when you go for the carbon fiber package, where it's on your steering wheel or on your dash. It just goes hand in hand. And then when you show people the rear of the seat, they just get blown away, and they also ask you, if they're not familiar with the platform, is that, hey, is that aftermarket? But a lot of people that really know what BMW has really stepped up their game in the past couple years, they really truly admire the look of it. And when you put everything together, it does make me say it's always a better option. But there's so many things that I would say maybe you shouldn't get the carbon bucket seats. As I mentioned before, BMW created these carbon bucket seats to be quality. One of the things that you need to understand is that there are some intricate aspects to it, right? When you look at the front seat, driver's seat, and passenger seat, you see these high bolsters. These high bolsters may or may not deter you from actually being able to live with these, and which is why we want to talk about in a few moments the buyer's remorse of it. One of the things that you're probably wondering is, number one, how many miles do I have in the car, and how have those miles worn on my seats? Number one, I have about 8,200 miles on the car right now, and in a little bit I'm going to show you exactly how these seats have worn and also wear, and gives you an idea of exactly what you can expect. But also too, I do take a little bit more precautions maybe than the average person, so we'll talk about that and what I do, and also how I maintain these seats, and also the proper method of getting in and out, which I mentioned in a video before. But let's take a look at these seats and how they've worn out in the past 8,200 miles. All right, so let's bring you guys a little closer in. So as you can see, this is my driver's seat. With being a driver's seat, this should have most of the wear and tear. But as you can clearly see, everything is pretty much in good condition. It's actually in excellent condition, at least in my opinion. There's things that could be better. The only thing is, there is a slight crease in the middle where a lot of the body weight gets distributed. The reason why this is not worn out, like many other people carbon bucket seats might be at this age, is because you gotta take the proper precautions. And the proper precautions is not just only conditioning the seats, is actually using the proper way to get in and out. I'll show you real quick, but there's another video that I made that shows you a good technique that I've used to, you know, get in and out of these seats, making sure that there's less wear and tear on the bolsters. And actually, I'm gonna show you guys a little bit closer look into the bolsters and show you how it looks. All right, as you can see, the bolsters here, they're actually in really good condition. There's really no major wear and tear. There's a little creases here and there, but that's normal. I know a lot of people that have the carbon bucket seats, their bolsters are just destroyed, right? Because of their inability, or also it just takes a little while of getting used to. But again, I want to show you guys this method, right? And hopefully it saves your carbon bucket seats. And also a lot of people get the wear and tear right over there too, which gets really bad. But as you can see right here is where I talked about, is where you see the slight crease, which is not a big deal. So I'm gonna get in and also get out and just catch the method, right? And I'm gonna do it slow. So as I get in, I prop my weight onto the door frame here, and I kind of use that as leverage to get into the seat. One thing too is that I want to keep my steering wheel pushed in and also canted up, so there's more room for my legs to get in without having a lot of wear and tear on this bolster. Obviously, when you want to drive, you would want to pull it back out and actually get into your comfortable driving position. But once I'm parked, it's a method that you should probably look into, and also this is where it becomes buyer's remorse, right? If you're not willing to do all these things and you care about the bolsters, or if you're leasing a car, who the hell cares, right? But if you do lease a car and you do want to maintain it because you do care about how your car looks, then maybe do this method. So what I like to do is, once I'm ready to get out of the car, push the steering wheel in, cant it up, I prop my left hand onto this door frame, and I basically grab the outside here, and I slingshot my body out. And the reason why my front seats are not severely worn out and actually in really good condition is because I take those precautions on getting in and out. I also clean the seats, which is something that I'm really actually enjoy doing because it soothes me. It's also relaxing. I clean the leather seats. I also condition them, which is very important because leather is basically skin, right? It's animal skin, animal hide that you still need to condition, right? And something that there's multiple videos I've made in the past, and I'll list them down in the description where you can check out. Also some of the products I've used on making sure that the leather becomes matte. It doesn't become all shiny, which is something that your leather should never be. And next time you get into your buddy's car and their steering wheel is all shiny, yeah, they haven't really taken care of their car, or also there's a lot of grease in the steering wheel, which is totally normal. I know my wife's car, when we first bought it, that steering wheel was nice and shiny. I may have to steam it to get that clean, but that's off topic. And here are some reasons why you wouldn't want to get the carbon bucket seats. Number one, it's a costly added option, right? It's $4,500. $4,500 you could do a lot with, right? Whether it's your own mods, where you want to add your own carbon fiber pieces from aftermarket companies, or if you want to take that $4,500 and buy a set of wheels, right? So the $4,500 is a costly option to have. But also to note too is that if you were to have, I guess, made a mistake and you didn't option carbon bucket seats, you're not going to be able to find these seats out on the open market for less than 15 grand. Sometimes if you're lucky, maybe a little less, depending on how worn out these seats are. But if you were to buy these seats brand new from factory, from a responsible source, right? You're looking at $25,000 to $30,000 for the pair of seats. And that's a lot of money, right? That's like buying a used car or buying a economical non-gas guzzler car. That's a very expensive option when you start pricing out the car, right? That can make a big difference on your payment, especially with these high interest rates these days. One of the things you need to look at is that, is this dailyable? For me personally, I know how meticulous I am. I know that when getting these seats, that is a responsibility of myself to be able to get in and out of the seats, making sure they get maintained. I personally know, going the fact of optioning these seats, it would be something that I could live with. But if somebody's dailying this car and it gets monotonous when you get in and out of the car on a certain way, also having to deal with the high bolsters, it may not be dailyable for that person. But if you're going into purchasing this car, this platform, and knowing that these carbon bucket seats are going to need the extra attention and also the extra care, then you should be able to accept that, yeah, this could be dailyable. For me, I don't daily this car. For me, when I do go out and enjoy the drive, I think it's one of the best things about the car. It makes me feel connected to the car, and especially with the manual transmission. But one thing is, if you were to purchase this platform and you didn't get the carbon bucket seats, which I know a lot of you guys are probably watching this that may not have got the carbon bucket seats and they kind of regret it a little bit. But also when you hear the negatives, you're probably like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't get them. But also too, when you look at the Facebook groups, you look at the forums, there's a lot of people actually that have buyer's remorse when they've optioned this car with the carbon bucket seats, right? Whether it doesn't fit their daily needs, whether it becomes a pain in the tush to get in and out, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit. They actually post on the forums, post on the Facebook groups that, hey, I'm looking to trade my Fiona carbon bucket seats for comfort Fiona seats, or vice versa, right? They want to trade their black carbon bucket seats for black comfort seats. And that gets to a point where it may be a headache on your end because now you have to ship the seats, or now you're going to have to find a local trader that's in your area to get this done. And, you know, that may be a headache, right? Because either you've taken care of your stuff and the person that is going to trade you may not. So it definitely is becoming an issue, right? Where people have optioned this car and be like, damn, it's not what I expected. So again, hopefully this video gives you a little bit more insight. And we're going to talk about, I think a lot of people kind of trick themselves on getting these seats. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about, and we're going to touch briefly on, because I know it's a sensitive topic for some of you gentlemen, is that you need to be honest with yourself, right? You need to, before even thinking about the price, you need to figure out if this is something that's going to fit the contours of your body. Whether you're a massive bodybuilder, 6'6", right, 280 pounds, this is going to be very snug, right? Give you an idea, I'm 5'11", 215 to 220 pounds, depending on how much ice cream I've eaten in the past couple weeks. That all varies, but you need to be honest with yourself if this is something that's going to be able to fit your body shape. So I'm going to refer to a show that I've watched growing up, and it's a show probably, if you guys are millennials and stuff, you guys are probably understand. It's Married with Children. So you know Al Bundy, right? He's a guy that was a salesman for women's shoes. It's like that oversized foot that he's trying to sell a shoe to, and the customer is saying that she's a smaller size.
I don't care what your little ruler says. I've been a 7 since I graduated from high school.
Well, these are 7s. The box says 9 because, well, look, lady, you're a 9. I can accept it. Why can't you?
You're very fresh.
No, ma'am, that's impossible. Because for the last hour, I've been trying to squeeze your foot into a shoe when I really should have been easing them into the box.
It's kind of like that, right? And it's a sensitive topic. It is what it is, but I'm going to be honest to you guys because I want to make sure you guys don't spend money that you shouldn't spend. Look, if you guys have bought or optioned the carbon bucket seats, and a lot of these things are probably giving you a concern, here's where you can make out. You could always sell your carbon bucket seats and get money up on top, right? You can trade for seats, but you need to make sure you go for the right seats in the right condition for yourself. You could always make money on top. Whether how much you make, it just depends on how you price it out and also how the market is. So hopefully a lot of these different tips and tricks gives you a better idea whether these carbon bucket seats are definitely something for you. Me personally, and this is my personal opinion, I think a lot of you guys could understand it, it's a great option. I love running through the gears with the carbon bucket seats, and there's times I do drive my car hard, which I don't put on camera, and it just allows me to feel a little bit more, right? It allows me to feel that this car is a true heritage sports car, sports sedan, and this is what BMW marketed as. This is one of the best sports sedan, in my personal opinion, not only because I love BMWs, is because I've owned it and I actually really enjoy it. And the carbon bucket seats for me allow me to enjoy the experience of driving the car better. One of the greatest things is that it hugs you when you're going through these turns, and also gives you a lower seated position. And it's something to compare it to, because we're going to have to do a comparison video with the E9X, the E92 M3 that we're going to be giving away, is that the seating position definitely makes a big role on how you feel when you drive a car. When you're seated in the carbon bucket seats, it definitely brings you to a lower center of gravity. When you're in the E9X with the factory seats, because they never had any carbon bucket seats, you definitely feel like you're elevated and you're kind of like in an awkward position. So I didn't really like that with that aspect of it, but we're definitely gonna have to do a comparison video. Hopefully this video gives you a better insight of these carbon bucket seats. And again, some of you guys may have buyer's remorse, which I've seen on the Facebook groups. But the ones that are probably clicking on this video, hopefully it gives you a better understanding for yourself before you make the wrong decision. If you guys have anything to chime in, let us know in the comments, because again, we're a community here and a lot of us actually read the comments where it helps each other out because you get to play on other people's experience. So other than that, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned to some more insightful and also exciting videos as we get prepared for the invasion of Orlando 2024.